And we're coming to you live from the Bill Ford Top Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and GL on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. A ton going on. Mets continue their winning streak at home with great pitching. Not a ton of hitting, but who cares? Because that lineup will wake up and they are winning games, outscoring a lot of runs. Yankees with just a weird, rough day out there in Detroit, losing that game. This was not a great Carlos Rodon performance. You had a new national champion. Well, a national champion that has won in the past, but a new one, at least in 2025, as Florida gets it done against Houston. Your team embarrassed themselves last night. I know you want to get to that at some point. And, of course, the Abdul Carter noise growing louder and louder coming to New York and the New York Giants potentially. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I'm doing okay. I mean, yeah, the hockey team, actually they played hard last night, believe it or not, until the end of the game where they kind of just were mailing it in late in the third period. But, I mean, you know, they came out and they actually started a great game, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it's 3-0, and it happens really quickly, especially against a really good team and a team that knows how to play and a team that is on edge and a team that plays hard. And you have a Ranger team that's basically the season's over. You know, it's over, and they're not making the playoffs, and there's going to be a lot of off-season decision-making to be made. All right, I get it. I appreciate it. And I feel bad about it because it's been a tumultuous season, to say the least. You know, at least 6 or 7 guys shipped out of here, new guys brought in, trying to rescue a season. And I'll tell you, it is a huge failure in the eyes of James Dolan because he wants his teams in the playoffs in the Garden. That's where they make money. That's where, you know, this is it's a huge part of the sport. And when the Rangers don't make it, it is not good times around the team. It's not good times around MSG, and heads will roll eventually. And we've all been through this before, and there'll be a retool for next year. But it just goes to show you when you have a team like Tampa Bay come in, and we've seen them a lot. They've retooled, but yeah, their star players are still at the prime of their career and the prime of their game, and they just play a game differently than the Rangers play right now. So. Really unfortunate, really disappointing season, but they're not catching the Canadians, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get some Dave Mishkin today. He is the Tampa Bay Lightning play-by-play man who screams, and he screams Kucherov, and he screams Point, and he screams all these names we've been hearing against the Rangers and Islanders for the last number of years as they generally run into the Lightning at some point and then end up losing. So
yeah, exactly. It's amazing, but the other side of the coin is that the Mets won a game, another shutout. And, and I know the weather is not conducive to hitting either for the Yankees or the Mets right now, but still, you get a shutout, you win 4 in a row, 5 in a row now. And things are great. I mean, things are, not as perfect as you want, but because you're not getting much offense out of second base or third base or center field for that matter. But I will say that they're just playing smart baseball. They're winning games, and these games right now, nobody wants to be. These guys don't want to be out there right now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
of course.
Miserable.
Yeah, no, I know, and I mean, just thank God for this pitching because I can't even imagine the conversations we'd be having about the offense if the pitching wasn't as spectacular as it's been, and saying, "Oh man, I mean, look at them. They're just not scoring any runs. They're scoring, 2 runs here and 3 runs here, and I mean, it's just not enough. I mean, back-to-back games, they scored 2 runs. Well, they won 2-1 and 2-0 and 3-2 prior to that. If that was the other way around, it was 5-3. 6-2, 3. We'd be screaming like crazy. So the pitching has been a total life preserver. They have been awesome. I'm a little worried about how much the bullpen's being used early on. I'm sure Carlos Mendoza and Jeremy Hefner are going to figure that part of it out. But it's been awesome to watch. I mean, I love the start that the rotation in the bullpen has gotten off to. And, you had an insurance run there late in the game with a couple of guys you don't expect a lot of offense from with Siri and Taylor. So, I mean, it's still fun to watch even when they're not hitting, when they're winning like this. And now I hope it stays this way, and I'm knocking on wood, but everybody who comes out of the bullpen, I'm like, all right, let's go. I got confidence in every one of these guys.
Exactly. And, they're just not hitting with runners in scoring position. That's the problem. I mean, when you take a look at Lindor, he had 3 hits yesterday. Soto, again, on base, and Alonso has 2 hits yesterday. They just didn't come at the right time. But I don't know. This is what we expected. We expected them to be competitive. We expected them to win games. This is going to be an by the way game that nobody's going to refer back to in 3 months. Nobody's going to care. But these are the games that you want to get off to what they have gotten off to, and that is a good start. And they are rolling right now. And the nice thing is too, is they are playing great at home. When you think about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they haven't lost at home at this point. And, yeah, I mean, of course, the specific game last night is probably not something that's going to be remembered. But I think that we'll probably, if this continues, we'll look back and say, man, the pitching, when the offense wasn't there earlier in the season, when it was freezing cold, the pitching stepped up and kept this thing rolling in the right direction. And now look, as the weather's gotten warmer, now the bats are alive, and this team is just firing on all cylinders. And, of course, they moved the game up to 4 o'clock. Is it 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock today? They moved 4 o'clock. So they moved the game up to 4 o'clock today because of the weather, which just shows me that TV doesn't matter to Major League Baseball anymore, and TV doesn't dictate the way things go, because if you're catering to the fans that are going to the game or the players and the cold, then that means that the TV deal isn't as important, because you've seen many times the NFL screw a fan base for whatever works television-wise. So, I mean, I think that's sort of the underlying story that people don't talk about with these games being moved, because they're so focused on the weather. But, like, if there was a strong TV deal and TV partners that Major League Baseball used to have back in the day, this stuff would never happen. They wouldn't give a crap what the temperature was. But nowadays, it's just like, whatever. Doesn't really matter. We got RSN streaming, doesn't right. ESPN's leaving us.
You know what's interesting about the TV deal coming into the 2025 season is going to be the fact that they changed the overtime rules, and they changed
the NFL now. Yeah,
the NFL. They changed the overtime rules so that if Team A scores a touchdown, Team B is now going to get a possession, and it potentially. And this is probably a little bit of inside football, inside TV and football. The 1 o'clock games, if one of those games, which is usually, they're all regional games, if one of those games goes into overtime, and because both teams have to have a possession, it's going to impact the double header aspect of Fox and CBS on Sunday. It's only Sunday only, because that's where you have, basically, to understand Sunday afternoon TV, the big game of the week is the 4:25 game on either CBS or Fox. That is the national game on the whole network. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if there is a overtime game in that 1 o'clock window, that means CBS or Fox can't get that 4:25 game to an entire audience, because a big portion of that audience is going to be watching that overtime game.
Right, they won't get it on time. Eventually, they'll get it, but not.
So
at
that
the
is
beginning
like
of the game.
That is, while it's good for the actual game itself, it may hurt their TV partners.
Yeah, interesting. But that's what, the point being that, the NFL will make decisions based on TV partners and, obviously streaming partners now with Netflix and Amazon and everything else.
And they're fully streaming in 2029.
Right. Baseball's just not in that place. But, they moved the games up. You had a freezing cold game. You saw some flurries there in Detroit.
The winter was over.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that, too. Like, baseball touches all 4 seasons. You got all 4 seasons.
It does.
I mean, you get winter, spring, summer, and fall. All 4 seasons in 162 games. How? I don't know. But you somehow, as you watch the snow coming down in Detroit, baseball in this long-ass regular season touches all 4 seasons. And, yeah, that was a rough run for the Yankees. I mean, you had a great Carlos Rodon start on opening day. Not so much here. Just every time that this guy has an outing like that, people are going to freak, especially with no Garrett Cole this year and Luis Gil not being around and the pressure that's going to be on him. And it's just like he just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. It's always extrapolating to, this guy's going to fall apart. Oh, we can't count on him every time that you see a little bit of a crack in the armor, which I don't necessarily think is totally fair to him. But this was a bad one. Not that it's really going to matter, but that was just a game.
He started out great, though.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't.
That's the problem. I mean, and the other, Mize for the Tigers. By the way, I do like these 3:00 games. I have to tell you.
Well, we love them.
I love
Does
it.
everybody
Yes,
else
exactly,
love them?
because you can watch the whole thing and not worry about staying up late. Well, but then again, we had the college basketball game last night. Jesus.
Yeah, the 8:50 first tip.
And by the way, March Madness finally came to fruition in the final group of teams, the Final Four. You know what I mean? This is where the craziness happened. The end of the game, one team can't, seem to hit a shot. One team's turning the ball over. One team can't get a shot off. I mean, crazy stuff happening, especially after Florida being down by 12 at one point. And it looked like the first half, it looked like Houston was just a step ahead of everything.
Well, I mean, they were just clamping down defensively, and then you saw some of the numbers offensively from the Florida Stars that were just completely barren. But it was, I mean, if you liked defense, you got some defense.
It was a horrendous shooting for both teams.
I mean, I guess if you like that, but yeah, it's a different tournament. Obviously, we know that there was barely any sort of Cinderella stories. The best teams were there in the end. You got some good games in the Final Four and the championship game with some action at the end, but. I mean, I don't. This was not a needle mover tournament in New York. That's for sure. I mean, this was
St. John's fell out. Forget it.
Exactly. Once they were gone, that was the end of it. There was no buzz around this thing after that. The only people that talked to me about it were ones that still had a shot in their brackets and their pools, and that was it. It was a gambling-driven interest with this, just like most of the time. But I mean, if you want to say it was a good ending to the tournament, you could. To me, this was a. We talk a lot about needle movers. This did not move any sort of needle.
This game would have been a much. I don't know what the ratings are yet. We'll find out shortly. But I think if Duke had been in the final against Florida, that would have been a needle mover, because I still think Duke was the best team. But again, in these games, in the last 5 minutes, all kinds of craziness happens, and Duke found out about it, and then playing against Houston, and then Houston found out about it by playing against Florida last night. It was an ugly basketball game, actually.
Yeah. And what do you think Jim Nantz is thinking? You think that he's crying tears, sad tears? I mean, it was tears of joy making it to the championship game. Do you think we have sad tears from Jim last night? I didn't see him, any video of him after the game crying, but I'm sure it happened at some point. Broke down some point in privacy. Got it all out.
He could be emotional.
Yeah. But what's good for him is he just could pick it up, go right to Augusta,
and
not
feel
even
better
think about
when he gets there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about it. Bang. And he missed the washout yesterday, so he just
everything worked out perfectly for him.
Yeah.
But normally,
it does for Jim Nantz.
I know it does. But for years, he would call that game.
Yeah.
And then get up the next morning and fly to Augusta.
Yeah, no, it's true. But this is the one time he could have been there the entire week, and he wasn't, because his team made it to the championship game, and then the Monday got washed out. So
yeah, it worked out again. It worked out for him.
The sports gods always make sure that Jim gets what he needs, except the national championship last night. So since we're talking about just about everything, and we've hit every single topic imaginable.
Well, you like to get off to a good start.
Yeah, sure. And then when we bring it up later, we say, well, we already talked about that. Did you see the Detroit Tigers executive, that whole situation?
I did not.
Oh, yes. I'm so happy you didn't. So, the assistant general manager. Let me get his name, because I think
this guy,
get his name out there.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Wait a minute. He was saying he was sending those pics.
Oh, yeah.
Pics
Sam.
of his genitalia. What is going on
Sam
with these?
Menzen, yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. Didn't one of the Mets guys do that?
Yeah, Jared Porter. And I also think that, Mickey Callaway had some inappropriate texts with some people, but yeah, Jared Porter to the Japanese reporter. Yes, that stuff was happening.
Major League Baseball is filled with freakazoids, and they're all at the executive level.
I mean, I don't know. There is some sort of psychology behind that I cannot figure out.
Let me go around here. Have you ever taken a picture of your junk?
I have never. No, and I would be honest with you. All the stuff I share.
No, I know.
Boner pills and everything else. I have not taken if I was, I'll tell you this much. If I was prouder of it, I might have. I'll tell you that. If I had like a Pringle can, I might be snapping pictures of it. But I don't. So, but I have not. The answer is no.
Al, have you taken a picture?
I have not, no.
You have not? Not at all?
No.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with Gio. It says it's not an impressive photo. I'm not taking that.
Okay. Eddie?
No, sir.
All right. Okay. And I am a 100% no.
Yeah.
No, not even remotely close. Couldn't even imagine taking a picture of the stuff and then sending it to somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have just like a wide angle lens sitting at home anyway, so what you would.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bizarre.
It
I mean,
really.
like, and this is like
It's a
an
sickness.
executive that is sending it to somebody. Like, who's he sending it to?
Well, Tigers employees and another employee of Major League Baseball.
Why would you do that?
Because you got to be sick in the head. You just have to have some sort of, you're off. You've got some sort of sexual fetish thing. I mean, I just.
And who wants to look at anybody's junk in the first place?
I mean, if there is some sort of established relationship between two people that are good looking and they have a what do they call long distance relationship?
Okay.
And they want to send some stuff back and forth or whatever. Right. FaceTime and stuff. Okay. If you're sending it to people you're not in a relationship with that are your colleagues, unsolicited.
I got to take a picture right now and send it to everybody at WFAN. Boom.
Yeah,
Here
right.
we go, guys.
Right. Hey, Zuckerman. What do you think?
Come on.
You know, it's wild.
All right, so if there is somebody out there that is listening and has done this, can you please tell us why you're doing it?
Well, no one's going to admit. All right.
Maybe somebody will. You never know.
They won't admit to sending it to colleagues unsolicited,
They're
which is
gonna
what this
say,
guy was doing.
you know,
I think there's a difference between like,
boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I mean, it's just it's
If you got like if you're stationed overseas or something in the military,
right, but you got like and you got a relationship, and maybe it's like a full body shot or something. Miss you, I don't know, but you just take the picture to Schween and then send it on Snapchat to these people that you work with. That has to be a sickness. It just has to be. This stuff happened years ago, and then finally it's starting to come out now, which is just like.
so we're gonna call it a sickness.
It has to be. That's the only way I can explain it. Because it has to be. Because you cannot be well adjusted. I'm just trying. Like, it has to be some sort of perversion that's driving you to do that. Because to reach the level of an assistant general manager in Major League Baseball and have that type of judgment doesn't make sense.
All right, so let me ask you this question. I don't know do you have any idea how many pictures this guy sent?
Well, it was at least to 3 different people. I know that. I don't know how many
all
pictures.
females?
Yeah.
All right, so that would be, so they would go to HR,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd say, look, so-and-so sending me these pictures.
Right.
HR then would have to call him in, and they'd have to tell him, you're fired for sending these pictures that are inappropriate.
Well, once he found out that they were investigating him, he resigned before they could fire him. And then when the Athletic reached out to him, he said, I'm going back to New York to sort out some family issues, is what he said. But the story is that he found out that he knew he was caught red-handed, so he resigned and got the hell out of there before they fired
I mean,
him.
at least that part of it, he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Got the hell out of there as opposed to getting fired by somebody.
Right.
And he ends up putting the Tigers and everybody else in the line of fire from the people who received these pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, it's not like the Tigers' fault. It's like the Tigers, I'm sure, have a very stringent HR policy like most businesses do.
Yeah. I mean, it's
this guy wasn't even thinking about that.
No. Just super confident. And he's thinking, I love how people are like, Snapchat, it disappears. Like, people can't screenshot anything. The same people who delete stuff from social media and think, like, I deleted it. No, someone screenshotted that and it's there forever.
But like, if Al sent me a picture of his stuff, I wouldn't screenshot it and save it. I can tell you that right now.
Well, you all.
I would look at it and go throw up.
Yes, but if you're someone who is feeling, if you're a female who's in an unwanted Schween pic comes your way, you might do that for evidence. Just because it's gonna on Snapchat, it does go away. So there, if you want to say, hey, listen, this guy's doing this and he's going to go and deny it, at least you have, your evidence. That's why someone would screenshot. I know you wouldn't screenshot Al Schween.
No.
But in this particular situation, I think a female.
Does it ever happen the other way? Is it always a guy doing it, or is?
No, I'm sure. Well,
and does anybody complain when it happens the other way?
No, but that's sort of the dynamic between men and women. Like, men are we all. I'll just say we, so I'm not judging anything, but they can have a tendency to be a little bit more on the aggressive, piggish side than a woman would be. you know? And then, like, you know, men are like, oh, boobies, you know,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you'll see that. You won't be, most men would not be offended by that, but I could totally understand why a woman would not be accepting of a
Totally. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
penis picture of a colleague. I mean, that's just horrible, you know?
Especially when it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're talking about it with somebody.
And it's like, what does he write after that? What do you think of that? Like, what happens there? You know?
I don't know.
What's the conversation afterwards? When you see
want
each
a
other in
piece
the
of-
office.
You want a piece of this?
It's horrible, man. It's just the worst.
God.
It's just the worst.
Well,
Anyway, yeah, so the Mets not the only team out there with the general manager sending the Schween picks. So now you got two. You got Jared Porter. Jared Porter's probably thinking like, man, I was just finally people weren't saying my name again. And now all of a sudden this guy does this and now I'm back out there.
Well, hopefully he's got his stuff together.
All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Jerry joins us in a couple of minutes.